I learned something important that night. Power doesn't announce itself with guns or screams. It walks in quietly, wearing a perfect suit, and everyone already knows to step aside. I was on my knees when I first saw him, not praying, not begging, scrubbing champagne off marble floors while Seoul's wealthiest pretended I didn't exist. The Grand Joseon Hotel ballroom glittered like a jewel box, crystal chandeliers throwing fractured light across silk gowns and diamond necklaces that cost more than my entire life. I'd been hired through a temp agency that morning, emergency staff for the Children's Hope Foundation Gala. 20,001 an hour to be invisible. I was good at being invisible. 23 years of practice. My rag moved in small circles, pink from the wine some socialite had knocked over while laughing too loud. Her heel had caught the stem. She hadn't even glanced down. Just kept talking, kept laughing, stepped over the spreading puddle like it was a crack in the sidewalk. I didn't mind. I needed the money more than I needed dignity. Around me, Seoul's elite circulated like planets in expensive orbits, politicians, tech CEOs, old money families whose wealth had roots deeper than the Han River. They were here for charity, they said, for the children. But mostly they were here to be seen, to network, to remind each other who belonged and who didn't. I belonged on my knees. At least that's what I thought, before we go any further. Where are you watching from right now? Are you somewhere safe? Somewhere you can hear this properly? Because what happened next, what I'm about to tell you, it changed everything about who I thought I was. The spill was near table 7. I noticed the number on the small placard, gold lettering on cream cardstock. The table sat in the center of the room, positioned like a throne. 8 seats. Only one occupied. A man. He sat perfectly still. Not the restless stillness of boredom, but the absolute stillness of someone who doesn't need to move, because the world will rearrange itself around him. I kept my head down, wringing pink wine from my rag into the bucket. But I felt him watching me. Not looking, watching. There's a difference. Looking is passive. Watching is intentional. My hands moved faster. You missed a spot. His voice was quiet. So quiet I almost didn't hear it over the string quartet playing Vivaldi in the corner. I glanced up, just a flicker of eye contact. Dark eyes, sharp face. Black suit so perfectly tailored it looked like it had been painted onto his body. His hair was pushed back, revealing a face that was beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful. Clean, precise, dangerous. He wasn't looking at the floor, he was looking at me. Sorry, I whispered, scrubbing harder at a spot I'd already cleaned twice. Don't apologize. 3 words. Calm, almost kind, but they landed like a command. I froze, rag still pressed against marble. Stand up. My heart kicked against my ribs. Around us, conversations continued. Laughter, the gentle clink of champagne flutes. The auctioneer at the front of the room warming up the crowd for the night's main event, a collection of rare art pieces donated by private collectors. No one was paying attention to table 7. No one except him. And now, me. I stood slowly, bucket in one hand, rag in the other. My uniform, a simple black dress and white apron, was damp and stained. I probably smelled like wine and floor cleaner. He leaned back in his chair, studying me the way someone studies a painting in a museum. Not rushed. Not bored, just interested. What's your name? I hesitated. Giving your name to someone like him felt dangerous, like signing something without reading the contract. Minji, I said quietly. He repeated it. Once. Minji. The way he said it made it sound like he was deciding whether to keep it or throw it away. Sit down, Minji. I can't, I'm working. His head tilted slightly. I'm asking you to sit. Not demanding, not threatening. Asking. But we both knew it wasn't really a question. I glanced around. A supervisor was near the kitchen doors, clipboard in hand, scanning the room. If she saw me sitting at a guest table, I'd be fired immediately. Please, he added. That word please was the strangest part. It sounded wrong coming from him, like a lion saying excuse me. I set the bucket down and slid into the chair across from him, hands folded in my lap, spine straight. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my body had gone obedient without permission. He didn't speak right away, just watched me. Up close, I could see details I'd missed, thin scar along his jawline almost invisible. The gold cufflinks at his wrists, engraved with something I couldn't read. The way his fingers rested on the table, relaxed but precise like a pianist between songs. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. I shook my head. He smiled. Small. Almost private. "Good." Silence stretched between us, thick and strange. The auctioneer's voice rose in the background. "Ladies and gentlemen, our first item tonight, a stunning piece by Kim Min-soo, oil on canvas, titled Seoul After Rain. Let's start the bidding at 50 million won." Paddles lifted around the room. Numbers climbed fast. The man across from me didn't even glance at the stage. "Why are you here?" he asked. I was hired to clean." "No." His eyes didn't leave mine. "Why are you here in this life, scrubbing floors? What choices brought you to your knees in this room tonight?" The question landed like a fist in my stomach. I opened my mouth, closed it. What do you say to that? The truth? That my mother's medical bills swallowed everything. That my father disappeared when I was 12 and never came back. That I dropped out of university halfway through because I couldn't afford both tuition and rent. That I was tired of being invisible but didn't know how to be anything else. "I needed work," I said simply. He nodded slowly, like I'd confirmed something he already knew. "You have honest eyes," he said. "That's rare." "Thank you." It wasn't a compliment. The string quartet shifted to something darker, a minor key. "Honest eyes get you hurt," he continued. "People see honesty and they think weakness, they think target." I didn't know what to say to that. "What's your name?" I asked, even though I knew I shouldn't. His smile returned, sharper this time. "You can call me Junwoo. No last name. Just Junwoo," but the way he said it told me everything I needed to know. This was a man who didn't need a last name. "Sold," the auctioneer announced. 80 million won to the gentleman in the back." Applause rippled through the room. Junwoo reached into his jacket and pulled out a slim silver case. From it, he drew a single business card, black, with silver lettering so small I could barely read it. He slid it across the table. "If you ever want to stop scrubbing floors," he said quietly, "call that number." I stared at the card. No company name, no title, just a phone number and 3 words in English for the bold. "I'm not bold," I whispered. "Not yet." He stood then, buttoning his jacket with smooth, practiced movements. That's when I noticed them. Men, 4 of them, positioned at different points around the ballroom. Not security. The hotel security wore burgundy uniforms. These men wore black suits identical to Junwoo's. They stood too still, watched too carefully. One of them met Junwoo's eyes and gave a single, almost imperceptible nod. Junwoo looked down at me one last time. "Keep the card, Minji, you'll need it." "For what?" But he was already walking away. The crowd parted for him without realizing they were doing it. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Eyes tracked his movement. Then everyone returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. Like waking from a dream you couldn't quite remember. I sat there, holding the black card, my hands trembling. The supervisor appeared at my shoulder, eyes sharp. "What are you doing?" "Get back to work." I stood quickly, shoving the card into my apron pocket. "Yes, sorry." But I wasn't sorry. For the first time in years, I felt something other than tired. I felt seen, and I didn't know yet if that was a gift or a curse. The rest of the night blurred. I scrubbed. I carried trays. I smiled when necessary and disappeared when I wasn't. But every few minutes, my hand would drift to my pocket, fingers brushing the edge of that black card. For the bold. Around 11, the gala began to wind down. The auction had raised over 2 billion won for children's hospitals. Everyone applauded themselves, felt good about their generosity, took photos for social media. I was wiping down tables in the back when I heard it. Whispers. 2 servers near the kitchen door, heads close together. "Did you see him?" "Table 7, of course I saw him." "Do you know who that is?" "Everyone knows, that's Kang Junwoo." My hand stilled on the table. "From the Kang family?" "Who else? His father practically owns half of Gangnam, but Junwoo, he's different. Colder. They say he took over operations 3 years ago and cleaned house. Anyone disloyal just disappeared." "You think that's true?" A pause. "I think people don't tell stories about you unless you give them a reason." They moved away, carrying empty trays. I stood there, heart pounding. Kang Junwoo. I'd heard the name before. Everyone in Seoul had, even if they pretended not to. The Kang family wasn't in the news. They were the news. They owned construction companies, entertainment agencies, restaurants, clubs, legal fronts for something much darker underneath. Money laundering, extortion, protection rackets, the kind of power that didn't need to raise its voice. I pulled the card from my pocket again, studying it in the dim light. What did he want with me? Why give this to a girl scrubbing floors? I should have thrown it away. I should have forgotten the whole strange interaction. But I didn't. I slipped it back into my pocket and finished my shift. 3 days later, my mother called. Minjia, we need to talk. Her voice sounded tired, more tired than usual. I was in my apartment, a tiny one-room in Guro district with walls so thin I could hear my neighbor's TV through the concrete. I'd just gotten home from a double shift at a convenience store. My body ached. My feet ached. Everything ached. What's wrong? I asked. The hospital called. They're increasing the treatment costs. Something about a new medication they want to try. It's experimental, but, her voice broke. It's expensive, Minji. Really expensive. My stomach dropped. How much? She told me. The number was impossible. I'd been working 3 jobs for the past year. Cleaning, convenience store, weekend catering gigs, and barely keeping up with the current bills. This new cost would bury us. We'll figure it out, I said automatically. How? I didn't have an answer. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. The black card sat on my nightstand where I'd left it, for the bold. I picked it up, turned it over. My phone was in my hand before I'd decided to reach for it. The number rang 3 times. Yes, a woman's voice, professional, neutral. I was given this number by Kang Junwoo. Silence. Then, your name? Minji. Han Minji. 1 moment. The line went quiet. I could hear my own breathing, then a click. Minji. His voice, calm, unsurprised, like he'd been waiting. I was wondering when you'd call. I need money, I said before I could stop myself. No explanation, no story. Just the raw truth. He didn't laugh, didn't sound shocked. I know. Of course he knew. People like him always knew. There's a restaurant, he continued. Myeongdong District. Jumgang Sikdang, be there tomorrow night. 8 o'clock. Why? Because you're bold now, Minji, you just don't know it yet. The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, pulse racing. What had I just done? Notice how every gesture matters, every word. That's what I didn't understand then. In his world, nothing was accidental. Every moment was a test, and I'd just agreed to take it. The restaurant was small, tucked between a skincare shop and a traditional tea house, easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. No flashy sign. Just a wooden placard with gold characters. Jumgang. I arrived at 7:45, too nervous to be late. Wore the only decent dress I owned, navy blue, simple, bought secondhand 3 years ago for a job interview I didn't get. The moment I stepped inside, I knew this wasn't a normal restaurant. It was too quiet. No other customers, just empty tables with white tablecloths and dim lighting from paper lanterns overhead. A woman in a black suit appeared immediately. Han Minji, I nodded. Follow me. She led me through the main room, past the kitchen, down a narrow hallway to a private room in the back, slid the door open. Junwoo sat at a low table, legs folded beneath him, wearing a charcoal suit. He looked different here, less formal than at the gala, but somehow more dangerous, like a wolf in its own den. Sit, he said. I knelt across from him, smoothing my dress over my knees. The woman closed the door behind me. We were alone. You came, he said. You knew I would. His smile was small, approving. Yes. He poured tea from a ceramic pot, slow, precise movements. Slid a cup across to me. I didn't drink it. Why did you give me your card? I asked. Because you interested me. Why? He considered the question, steam rising from his cup. Most people spend their lives pretending, he said finally. Pretending to be stronger, smarter, happier than they are. You weren't pretending. You were just surviving. That's rare. Lots of people are just surviving. Yes, but most of them are angry about it, bitter. You weren't. You were tired, but not bitter. That tells me something. What? That you haven't been broken yet. The words settled between us like snow. I need money, I said again, quieter now. My mother is sick. I can't afford her treatment. He nodded slowly. I know, you already said that. How? Because I looked into you, Minji, after the gala. I wanted to know who you were. Something cold moved through my chest. That's invasive. Yes. No apology, no excuse, just yes. I know your mother has stage 3 cancer, he continued, voice even. I know your father left 12 years ago and never sent money. I know you dropped out of Seoul National University. I know you work 3 jobs and still can't make rent some months. I know you haven't bought new clothes in 2 years. I know. Stop. My voice cracked. He stopped. We sat in silence. Why? I whispered. Why do you care? I don't. The honesty was brutal. Then what do you want from me? Junwoo set his cup down, leaning forward slightly. I want to offer you a job. What kind of job? The kind that pays well. That's not an answer. No, he agreed. It's not. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope, set it on the table between us. I stared at it. Open it, he said. I did. Inside was a check, 50 million won. My hands started shaking. This is enough to cover your mother's treatment, he finished. For now, I couldn't breathe. Why would you give me this? I'm not giving it to you, I'm offering it. There's a difference. What's the difference? If I give it to you, you owe me nothing. If you take it, you owe me everything. The room felt smaller suddenly, colder. What does that mean? I asked, even though I already knew. It means you work for me. It means you do what I ask when I ask. It means your life isn't yours anymore. It's mine. Until the debt is paid. How do I pay it back? You don't, not with money. Then how? His eyes met mine, dark, calm, absolute. Loyalty. That word hung in the air like smoke. I looked down at the check again. 50 million won. Enough to save my mother. Enough to stop drowning for a while. What would I have to do? I whispered. Right now, nothing. Go home, pay for your mother's treatment, live your life. And later. Later, when I call, you answer. When I ask, you come. When I need something, you provide it. What kind of things? I don't know yet, that's the point. I set the check down, hands still trembling. This is insane. Yes, you're asking me to sell myself. No, I'm asking you to choose. Your freedom or your mother's life. That's not selling yourself, that's being human. I wanted to hate him for how calmly he said it, but he was right, and we both knew it. I need to think, I said. No, you don't. You've already decided. You decided 3 days ago when you called the number. You decided the moment you walked in here. You're just afraid to admit it. He stood then, smoothing his suit. Keep the check. If you want it, deposit it tomorrow. If you don't, burn it. Either way, you'll have made your choice. He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the frame. One more thing, Minji. I looked up. Once you take that money, there's no going back. You understand? No changing your mind. No running away. You'll belong to me until I say otherwise. And if I try to leave, his expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did, something cold and final. Don't. Then he was gone. I sat there alone with the check and the tea I hadn't touched. 50 million won. My mother's life. My freedom. What would you do if you were here? I already knew what I'd do. I'd known the moment I saw the number. The next morning, I deposited the check. The bank teller's eyes widened when she saw the amount, but she processed it without question. Money that large doesn't ask where it came from. I paid the hospital immediately. The relief in my mother's voice when I called her made everything worth it. Almost. Minjia, how did you? I got a better job, I lied. Don't worry about it, Iyama. Just focus on getting better. She cried, thanked me. Said she didn't deserve me. I told her I loved her and hung up before I started crying too. 3 weeks passed. I kept working my jobs, the convenience store, the weekend catering. Kept living my normal life. But nothing felt normal anymore. I kept expecting Junwoo to call, to appear, to collect whatever debt I'd signed myself into. But he didn't. Silence. At night, I'd lie awake wondering if I'd imagined the whole thing. The gala, the restaurant, the check. But my mother's treatment continued, and the money was real, so it must have happened. I started to relax. Maybe he'd forgotten about me. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Minji. That calm voice. It's time. My heart stopped. Time for what? I need you to do something for me. What? Come to this address tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Dress well. He gave me an address in Gangnam, then hung up. No explanation, no details, just a command. I stood there holding my phone, hands shaking. This was it, the moment I'd been dreading, payment. The address led to a nightclub. High-end. The kind with velvet ropes and doormen who decided your worth with a single glance. I'd never been to a place like this. Spent an hour getting ready, borrowed a black cocktail dress from my roommate, did my makeup 3 times before I got it right. Felt like a child playing dress-up. The doorman looked me over when I arrived, unimpressed. Name? Han Minji. He checked his tablet, expression shifting immediately. Go in, VIP section. 3rd floor. He unhooked the rope. I walked inside. The club was chaos, pulsing music, strobing lights, bodies pressed together on the dance floor. The air smelled like expensive perfume and sweat. I made my way upstairs, past another checkpoint, into the VIP section. Quieter here. Leather booths. Low lighting. People who looked like they owned things. Junwoo sat in a corner booth, surrounded by 4 men. The same men from the gala. His eyes found mine across the room. He didn't smile. Didn't wave, just watched me approach. I stopped at the edge of the booth. Sit, he said, gesturing to the space beside him. I slid in, hyper-aware of how close he was. His cologne was subtle, sandalwood and something darker. Gentlemen, he said to the others, this is Minji. They looked at me with varying degrees of interest. One of them, tall, with a scar across his eyebrow, smiled. The girl from the gala? Yes, Junwoo said. She's prettier up close. Careful, Taesung. The warning in Junwoo's voice was soft but absolute. Taesung's smile faded immediately. Of course, my apologies. Junwoo turned to me. These are my associates. You don't need to remember their names. Then why am I here? I asked. Because I'm teaching you. Teaching me what? How to be useful. He poured me a drink, something amber and expensive looking. Tonight, you're going to watch and listen. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't react to anything you hear, just observe. Why? Because I need to know if you can handle this world. And if I can't, his eyes met mine, then we'll have a problem. For the next 2 hours, I sat beside him while he conducted business. Business, that's what he called it. But I knew what I was watching. A restaurant owner came first, nervous and sweating, explaining why he couldn't make his monthly payment. Junwoo listened patiently, nodded, then said something so quiet I couldn't hear it. The man's face went white. He left quickly, practically running. Next came a woman in an elegant suit. She brought photos, surveillance images of someone I didn't recognize. Junwoo studied them carefully, asked questions in that same calm voice. She answered precisely. He kept 2 photos, returned the rest. She bowed and left. Then a young man, maybe my age, who looked terrified. He'd done something wrong. Borrowed money he couldn't repay. Made promises he couldn't keep. Junwoo didn't raise his voice. Didn't threaten. Just explained, very calmly, what would happen if the debt wasn't settled by the end of the month. The young man nodded frantically, tears in his eyes. After he left, Junwoo turned to me. What did you notice? I swallowed. You didn't yell at any of them. Why would I? I don't know, you thought I'd be violent. Aggressive. Yes. Violence is for people who have no other power, he said. I don't need to raise my voice. They already know what I can do. What can you do? He smiled, small, cold. Anything I want. The night continued. More people came and went. Money changed hands, envelopes, whispered conversations. Through it all, I sat silently, watching, learning. This was his world. Calm, controlled, wrapped in expensive suits and polite language. But underneath, it was brutal. Around midnight, the flow of visitors stopped. Junwoo dismissed his associates. They left without question. We were alone. You did well, he said. I didn't do anything. Exactly, you knew when to be invisible, that's a skill. He poured himself another drink. Do you understand now? He asked. Understand what? Why I chose you? No. Because you're smart enough to be afraid, but brave enough to be here anyway. Because you don't ask stupid questions. Because you paid attention. He leaned back, studying me. Most people see power, and they want it immediately. They think it's something you take, but real power is something you're given, something you earn by being patient, by being quiet, by being loyal. Is that what you want from me? Loyalty? Yes. Why does my loyalty matter? You don't even know me. I know enough. Silence stretched between us. Minji, I looked at him. You're going to start working for me properly now, not just watching, actually working. Doing what? Small things at first. Deliveries, errands. I need people I can trust. People who aren't already part of this world. Because they can't betray you if they don't know anything. Because they can't be bought if no one knows they exist. It made a cold kind of sense. What if I say no? I asked quietly. You won't. How do you know? Because you already took my money, because your mother is getting treatment, because you're not stupid enough to think you have a choice anymore. He wasn't wrong. I'd made my choice 3 weeks ago. This was just the consequence. What do you need me to do? I asked. Tomorrow someone will call you, they'll give you an address and a package, you'll deliver the package, that's all. What's in the package? Does it matter? Yes, he considered this. Money. Just money. You promise. I don't make promises, Minji, but I'm telling you the truth. I didn't know if I believed him, but I nodded anyway. Good. He stood, buttoning his jacket. Go home, get some sleep. Your life just changed. I know. No, he said quietly. You don't, not yet. He walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the club. I sat there alone, surrounded by empty glasses and the ghost of conversations I'd never forget. When I finally left, stepping out into the cool Seoul night, I realized something. I'd stopped shaking. Somewhere during those 2 hours, fear had turned into something else. Not courage, something colder than that. Acceptance. The call came at noon the next day. Different voice this time. Male, curt. Miter Building, Gangnam, 5th floor, Suite 503. There's an envelope at the front desk under your name. Take it to this address. He rattled off a location in Itaewon. And give it to the man at the door. Don't open it. Don't look inside. Just deliver it. How will I know which man? He'll know you. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. This was it. The first task. Simple, easy, just a delivery. So why did my hands feel cold? The Miter Building was glass and steel, 30 stories of corporate wealth. I walked in wearing jeans and a simple jacket, feeling completely out of place. At the front desk, I gave my name. The receptionist handed me a manila envelope without question. It was sealed, not heavy. I resisted the urge to feel what was inside. The address in Itaewon led to a restaurant, Korean-Italian fusion. Trendy. The kind of place that charged 40,000 won for pasta. A man stood outside smoking, mid-40s, expensive watch, tired eyes. He looked at me as I approached. Minji, I nodded. He held out his hand. I gave him the envelope. He opened it right there, counted what was inside, cash, just like Junwoo said, then nodded. Tell him we're square. Tell who? But he was already walking away. I stood there on the street, people flowing around me. That was it, just. A delivery. My phone buzzed. Well done. Go home, wait for the next call, no name. But I knew who it was from. I took the subway home, watching the city blur past the windows. That night, lying in bed, I tried to figure out what I was feeling. Relief, that the first task had been easy. Fear, that the next one wouldn't be. Or something else. Something I didn't have a word for yet. The feeling you get when you realize you've crossed a line you can't uncross. The calls came regularly after that. Once a week, sometimes more. Always different voices. Always simple tasks. Deliver this, pick up that, meet someone here, never anything illegal. At least nothing obviously illegal. Money, documents, sometimes just a message delivered verbally. I was a courier. That's all, invisible, forgettable, perfect. Weeks became months. I quit the convenience store, didn't need it anymore. Junwoo paid me well for the deliveries, not extravagantly, but enough. My mother's treatment continued. She was responding well. The doctors were optimistic. I should have been happy, but I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Kept waiting for Junwoo to ask me to do something I couldn't justify. 4 months in, everything changed. The call came at 3 a.m. I jerked awake, phone buzzing insistently. Hello, Minji, Junwoo's voice, not calm this time, sharp, urgent. I need you now. What's wrong? Get dressed, a car is outside your building, you have 3 minutes. Where are we? He hung up. I threw on clothes, grabbed my phone and ran downstairs. A black sedan waited at the curb, engine running. The back door opened. I got in. Taesung sat in the driver's seat, the scarred man from the club. He didn't look at me, just drove. Fast. through empty streets, running red lights, until we reached a warehouse in an industrial area I didn't recognize. He parked. "Inside, quickly!" I got out, legs unsteady. The warehouse door was open. Dim light spilled out. I walked in. It was mostly empty. Concrete floors, high ceilings, the smell of rust and oil. Junwoo stood in the center, surrounded by his men. And someone else, a man on his knees. Hands tied behind his back, face swollen and bloody, barely conscious. My stomach lurched. Junwoo saw me. "Come here." I walked over slowly, unable to look away from the kneeling man. "Do you know who this is?" Junwoo asked. I shook my head. "His name is Park Ji-hoon. He worked for me, handled distribution for 3 years. Made good money, had a good life." Junwoo's voice was calm, too calm. "Then he got greedy, started skimming, thought I wouldn't notice." Park Ji-hoon made a wet, gasping sound. "I noticed," Junwoo continued. "I always notice." He looked at me directly. "I brought you here because I need you to understand something." "What?" My voice came out as a whisper. "This is what happens to people who betray me." One of the men handed Junwoo something. A gun, black, heavy-looking. I stopped breathing. "I'm not going to kill him," Junwoo said. "That would be wasteful. He's going to disappear. Start over somewhere far away. But first, I continue 2:14 p.m. need him to understand the cost of betrayal." He held the gun loosely, almost casually. "Minji, I want you to watch this. Watch carefully, because one day someone will test you. Someone will offer you money to betray me, and when that happens, I need you to remember this moment. I would never." Everyone says that. Until they're offered enough money. He walked closer to Park Ji-hoon. "Last chance," Junwoo said quietly. "Where's the rest?" Park Ji-hoon sobbed something incoherent. Junwoo sighed. Then he moved, not with the gun. He knelt down, grabbed Park Ji-hoon's hand, and I closed my eyes. The scream told me everything. When I opened them again, Park Ji-hoon had collapsed sideways, cradling his hand. 2 fingers bent at wrong angles. Junwoo stood, brushing off his pants. "Take him to the doctor," he told his men. "Fix him up, then put him on a plane to Bangkok. Make sure he understands he doesn't come back." They dragged Park Ji-hoon away. The warehouse fell silent except for my ragged breathing. Junwoo walked over to me. "You're pale." "I want to go home." "Soon. First we talk." "I don't want to talk, I want to leave." "Minji," his voice was gentle, too gentle. "Look at me." I forced myself to meet his eyes. "Do you understand now," he asked, "what you're part of? What I am? You're a monster." "Yes." No denial, no excuse, just yes. "But I'm a monster who keeps his word. I told you I'd pay for your mother's treatment. I have. I told you I'd protect you as long as you're loyal. I will. I don't lie. I don't pretend to be something I'm not. You broke his fingers. I could have done worse. I could have killed him. Instead, I'm letting him go. That's mercy in this world." "That's not mercy, that's..." "What? Evil?" He tilted his head slightly. "Maybe, but it's honest evil. Not the kind that smiles and shakes your hand and stabs you later. I tell people exactly what will happen if they betray me. And then, if they betray me anyway, I keep my promise." I felt sick. "Why did you make me watch?" "Because you need to know who I am, what I'm capable of. If you're going to work for me, really work for me, you can't be naive anymore." "I'm not naive." "You were. You thought delivering envelopes made you part of something exciting, something powerful. You thought you could take my money and stay clean." He stepped closer. "You can't, there is no clean, there's only useful or useless, loyal or dead. You said you wouldn't hurt me. I won't. As long as you're loyal." Those words, the ones he kept repeating, felt like chains. "Take me home," I whispered. "Taesung will drive you." He turned to leave, then paused. "Minji, one more thing." I looked at him. "You didn't run. You didn't scream. You watched. That means something. What does it mean?" "That you're stronger than you think, and that's dangerous for you and for everyone around you." Then he was gone. Taesung drove me home in silence. I went upstairs, locked my door, and stood in the shower until the water ran cold. When I finally crawled into bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Park Ji-hoon's broken fingers, kept hearing the scream, kept feeling the weight of Junwoo's words, loyal or dead. That was my life now. I'd chosen this. Taken the money, made the deal. And now I understood, really understood, what I'd sold. Not just my time, not just my freedom, my innocence. Whatever was left of it, I didn't cry. Crying was for people who still believed things could be different. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, waiting for morning, waiting for the next call, because I knew it would come, and I knew I would answer. That's what loyal people did. They answered. No matter what, morning came slowly. Gray light through my window, the sound of traffic below, everything normal, except nothing was normal anymore. I made coffee with shaking hands, tried to eat toast but couldn't swallow. My phone sat on the counter, silent, no calls. No messages, just waiting. I hated that phone, hated how much power it had over me. A simple device, black glass and metal, but it controlled my entire life now. When it rang, I jumped. Unknown number. Hello, Minji SSI, a woman's voice, professional. Mr. Kang would like to see you this evening. 6 p.m., his office. Where? She gave me an address in Gangnam, high-rise building. 20th floor, receptionist will be expecting you. Click. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. His office. I'd never been to his office before. All our meetings had been in restaurants, clubs, neutral locations. This felt different, more formal, more permanent. I spent the day in a fog, went through motions. Cleaned my apartment even though it was already clean. Anything to keep my hands busy. At 5:30, I started getting ready, wore a simple black dress. Professional, nothing flashy, pulled my hair back, minimal makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. 4 months ago, I'd been invisible. Now I was something else, something I didn't have a name for yet. The building was glass and chrome, 60 stories of corporate power. I rode the elevator to the 20th floor, stomach churning. The doors opened onto a reception area, all white marble and modern art. A woman sat behind a sleek desk, beautiful in that untouchable way rich people's assistants are. Han Minji? Yes. Go through those doors, he's expecting you. I walked through. The office beyond was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. The city spread out below like a circuit board, glittering in the early evening light. Junwoo stood by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out. He didn't turn when I entered. Close the door. I did. Silence stretched between us. I'm sorry about last night, he said finally. I hadn't expected an apology. Didn't know what to do with it. You don't sound sorry, I said. I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm sorry you had to see it. He turned then, facing me. But it was necessary. Why? Because you needed to see the worst of me. Now you have. Now you know exactly who I am. He walked to his desk, massive, dark wood, and gestured to a chair. Sit. I sat. He didn't sit, just leaned against the desk, arms crossed, studying me. You didn't call, didn't text. Didn't try to run. Where would I run to? Anywhere, the police, another city, you could disappear. You'd find me. Yes, but most people don't think that far ahead. They panic. They run first, think later. I'm not most people. No, he agreed. You're not. He opened a drawer, pulled out a tablet, and set it on the desk. I have a real job for you, not deliveries, something important. My pulse quickened. What kind of job? I'm opening a new business, legitimate on paper. An art gallery in Gangnam. It needs a manager. I stared at him. I don't know anything about art. You don't need to. The gallery is a front. What I need is someone trustworthy to run it. Someone who can smile at rich people, serve wine, answer questions. Someone who looks innocent. Someone who doesn't look like a criminal. Exactly. He pulled up something on the tablet floor plans, I realized. A beautiful space. High ceilings, natural light. The gallery will host real exhibitions, sell real art, but it will also be a place where I can conduct certain meetings, transactions, away from prying eyes. You want me to be the face of your money laundering operation. I want you to be the manager of a legitimate gallery that happens to serve multiple purposes. That's the same thing. Semantics. I looked at the floor plans. It really was beautiful. What's the salary? I asked. He named a number that made my breath catch. 3 times what I'd been making from deliveries, enough to not just survive, but live. Why me? I asked. You could hire anyone. Someone with actual experience. Because people with experience ask questions, they notice things, they get curious. He set the tablet down. You, Minji, know exactly when to stay quiet, when to look away. That's worth more than any degree. You're asking me to lie for you every day. Yes, to be complicit. You're already complicit. He wasn't wrong. I'd crossed that line the moment I deposited his check. Everything since then had just been steps deeper into water I couldn't see the bottom of. When would I start? I heard myself ask. Next week. The gallery opens in a month. I need you to oversee the final preparations. Hire staff. Build a reputation. What if I fail? You won't. How do you know? Because failure isn't an option, and you're smart enough to understand that. He pushed off the desk, walked to a cabinet, and poured 2 glasses of something amber. Handed me one. To new beginnings, he said. I looked at the glass. At him. At the city glittering beyond the windows. This isn't a beginning, I said quietly. This is a point of no return. Every choice is a point of no return. You just notice it more when the stakes are high. He raised his glass. I raised mine. We drank. The liquor burned. Expensive burn. The kind that cost more than I used to make in a month. There's one more thing, Junwoo said. Of course there was. What? You'll be attending social events with me, galas, charity functions, art openings at other galleries. Why? Because I need a companion who doesn't look like she's being paid to be there, someone educated, presentable, a date, a colleague, a friend to the outside world. And in private, his eyes met mine. In private, you're my employee, nothing more. I should have been relieved. But something in the way he said it, so absolute, so final, felt like rejection, which was insane. I didn't want him, I didn't even like him, did I? Fine, I said. Good, my assistant will email you details. Schedule for next week, dress code for events, gallery plans. Okay. I stood to leave. Minji, I turned. He was still by the window, silhouetted against the city lights. Last night you asked if I was a monster. I remember. The answer is yes. But here's what you need to understand. Everyone at my level is a monster. The only difference is I don't pretend otherwise. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want you to be confused about what this is. I'm not saving you. I'm using you. But I'm using you well, treating you with respect, paying you fairly. That's more than most people in this world get. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, it's supposed to make you realistic. I left without another word. Rode the elevator down 20 floors with my reflection staring back at me from polished steel. Outside, Seoul hummed with evening life. People everywhere, living normal lives. Going to normal jobs, worrying about normal things. I used to be one of them. Now I was something else. An accessory to beautiful crimes. A pretty face on dirty money. And the worst part, I was good at it. The gallery opened 6 weeks later. Gyeonggi Modern Art Space. The name was Junwoo's choice, sophisticated, vague enough to mean anything. The opening night was perfect. White walls, spotless floors, carefully curated pieces from emerging Korean artists, tasteful lighting. Wine and small appetizers served by staff I'd hired. Young, beautiful people who smiled professionally and asked no questions about the owner. Seoul's art world elite came. Critics, collectors, trust fund kids, pretending to understand conceptual pieces. I wore a silver dress Junwoo had sent to my apartment. Designer, perfectly fitted, expensive enough to make me feel like a fraud. But I didn't look like a fraud. I looked like I belonged. That was the strangest part. I moved through the crowd with wine glass in hand, making small talk, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, guiding people toward pieces I'd memorized facts about. The use of negative space here is quite bold. This artist studied in Berlin, very influenced by the new Deutsche Welle movement. Yes, it's available for purchase. Let me get you information. I was good at this. Too good. Junwoo arrived late, making an entrance without trying to. He wore a charcoal suit, no tie, top button undone. Looked like he'd just come from somewhere important. People gravitated toward him immediately. I watched from across the room as he worked the crowd. Subtle, controlled, never the loudest voice, but somehow always the center of attention. He saw me watching. Our eyes met across the gallery. He excused himself from his conversation and walked over. How are we doing? He asked quietly. 3 pieces sold already, 4 serious inquiries. Good. Everyone loves the space. Do they love it enough to forget what it really is? Yes, his smile was small. Approving. A woman approached, older, dripping with jewelry. Junwoo SSI, I didn't know you were interested in art. I'm interested in supporting young talent, he said smoothly. Have you met our gallery director? This is Han Minji. Director. Not manager, director. A promotion I hadn't known about. Minji SSI, this is Madame H. Wang. She collects contemporary pieces. I smiled, bowed slightly. Pleasure to meet you. Have you seen our main exhibition piece? I think you'd appreciate the technique. I guided her away, feeling Junwoo's eyes on my back. The night continued like that. Introductions, small talk, sales. By midnight, the gallery had made 20 million won in sales. Not bad for an opening night. The crowd thinned. Staff cleaned up. I stood in the center of the empty gallery, exhausted and exhilarated. Junwoo appeared beside me. You were perfect, he said. Thank you. I mean it. You played the role exactly right. Sophisticated but not pretentious, knowledgeable but approachable. The role, I repeated. That's all it is, right? A role? He looked at me curiously. Is that a problem? No. Just making sure we're clear. Silence settled between us. Minji, yes, you're wondering what happens next. He was right, I was. Things will change now, he continued. You'll meet more people from my world. Some of them will try to figure out what you mean to me, what you are. What am I? Useful, valuable, protected, not a person. Of course you're a person, but in my world, people are defined by their function. You function as my gallery director, as my public face in legitimate business. That makes you valuable. And if I stop being valuable, his expression didn't change. That's not a scenario we need to discuss. But we both knew the answer. I'd seen what happened to people who stopped being useful. Go home, he said. Get some rest, you've earned it. I gathered my things, coat, purse, the heels that had been murdering my feet for 6 hours. At the door, I turned back. Junwoo stood in the center of the empty gallery, hands in his pockets, looking at one of the pieces. Just a man appreciating art. That's what it looked like. But I knew better. Nothing about him was simple. Not the way he stood. Not the way he breathed. Not the way he looked at the world like it was a chess board and everyone else was just pieces. I left quietly. Outside, Seoul was still awake. The city never really slept. Neither did I anymore. Not deeply. Not peacefully. Always half aware of my phone, of the next call, the next task. I'd become someone who waited. And waiting was its own kind of prison. 3 months passed. The gallery became successful, real success, not just a front. Critics praised our exhibitions. Collectors came regularly. We were featured in art magazines. I became known in Seoul's art world as someone with taste, with connections. People didn't know those connections were criminal. They just knew I could get things done. I attended galas with Junwoo, charity auctions, museum openings, networking events where the wealthy gathered to remind each other of their status. We played our roles perfectly. He, the enigmatic businessman with diverse interests. Me, the cultured gallery director. People assumed we were involved romantically. We never corrected them. It was useful for them to think that, made everything simpler. But we weren't involved. He'd never touched me beyond a hand at my elbow, guiding me through crowds. Never called me anything except Minji or director. Never looked at me with anything but professional assessment. I told myself I was relieved. Told myself I didn't want complications. But late at night, alone in my apartment, which was nicer now, bigger, in a better neighborhood, I'd wonder what it meant that the most powerful man I'd ever met treated me like a useful tool. Nothing more, nothing less. My mother's health improved. She was in remission. The doctors were optimistic. She'd ask about my job sometimes. You're doing so well, Minji-ah, I'm so proud. I'd smile and change the subject. Pride. She felt pride. If she knew the truth, she'd feel shame instead. The daughter she'd raised to be honest, to work hard, to do the right thing, that daughter was gone. In her place was someone else. Someone who smiled at criminals, who facilitated illegal transactions, who'd learned to look away at exactly the right moments. Someone useful. Then everything changed again. It was a Thursday, normal day at the gallery, small exhibition of photography, quiet afternoon. I was in my office doing paperwork when my phone rang. Junwoo. He never called during the day unless it was urgent. Yes. Close the gallery, send the staff home. Come to the address I'm sending you, immediately. What's wrong? Just come. He hung up. A text arrived seconds later. Address in Gangbuk. Industrial area. My hands were shaking as I made the calls. Everyone, I need to close early today. Family emergency. Take the rest of the day. The staff left without question. I locked up and took a taxi to the address. It was a warehouse. Different from the one where I'd seen Park Ji-hoon, but similar. Concrete. Shadows, the smell of old metal. I walked inside. Junwoo stood in the center with his men, and 3 strangers. 2 men, 1 woman, all bound to chairs, all bleeding. My stomach dropped. Minji. Junwoo's voice was calm, always calm. Come here. I walked over slowly. Do you know who these people are? I shook my head. They work for a rival organization. They were caught trying to infiltrate my operations. One of them, he gestured to the woman, applied for a job at your gallery last week. I remembered her. Young, pretty, impressive resume. I'd almost hired her. She would have been a spy, Junwoo continued, feeding information to my enemies. Eventually, she would have tried to steal from me, or worse, hurt someone valuable to me. His eyes met mine on that last part. What do you want me to do? I asked quietly. I want you to understand what protecting you costs. He walked to the woman, pulled out a gun. No, I started. Don't close your eyes. It wasn't a request. I kept my eyes open as he pressed the gun to her temple. She sobbed, begged. He didn't hesitate. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. I didn't scream, didn't run, just stood there, frozen. He moved to the next one. Please, the man gasped. Another shot. Then the third. Silence. 3 bodies slumped in chairs. Blood pooling on concrete. Junwoo turned to me, gun still in his hand. You should go. You killed them. Yes, in front of me. Yes. Why? He walked closer, stopping just in front of me. Because you need to understand something, Minji. I protect what's mine. Absolutely, without hesitation. These people threatened my business. They threatened you, so I removed the threat. I didn't ask for this. You don't have to ask. It's what I do. His hand, the one not holding the gun, reached up, almost touching my face but stopping just short. You're pale. You just killed 3 people. Yes, and I'd kill 30 more if they threatened you. That's what it means to be under my protection. I don't want this kind of protection. Too late. He stepped back, handed the gun to Taesung. Take her home. Make sure she gets inside safely. I can take myself home. No. You can't. You're in shock. He was right. I was shaking. My ears were ringing. My vision felt strange, like I was underwater. Taesung took my arm gently. Come on. I let him guide me outside. The afternoon sunlight felt wrong. Too bright. Too normal. We drove in silence. When we reached my building, Taesung walked me to my door. You'll be okay, he said quietly. How do you know? Because you're still standing. People who can't handle this world fall apart immediately. You're shaking, but you're still standing. Is that supposed to be a compliment? It's an observation. He left. I went inside, locked the door, and stood in my apartment that suddenly felt too clean, too bright, too disconnected from what I just witnessed. 3 people dead. Because of me, not directly, but because I existed in Junwoo's orbit. Because protecting me was part of protecting his interests. I sat on the floor, didn't cry. Crying was for people who still believed in things like justice or fairness. I'd stopped believing in those things. Now I just existed, waiting for the next call, the next test, the next irreversible moment. My phone buzzed. A text from Junwoo. Take tomorrow off. Rest. We'll talk soon. I set the phone down, stared at nothing, and realized something horrible. I wasn't shocked anymore, wasn't horrified, just tired. That was the worst part. Not that I'd seen people die, but that some part of me had expected it, had known deep down that this was always where things were heading. I'd just been waiting to arrive, and now I had. Now I knew exactly what I was, not innocent, not guilty, just complicit. Forever, 2 weeks later, everything exploded, not literally, but close enough. I was at the gallery when Taesung arrived, moving fast, tension radiating off him. We need to leave, now. What's wrong? Police raid. They're hitting 3 of our locations simultaneously. Someone talked. My blood went cold. The gallery? Not yet, but they might. We need to clean everything. Fast. We had 30 minutes. I knew exactly what to clean. The back office where we kept secondary accounts. The storage room where certain transactions happened. The safe with cash that wasn't supposed to exist. I moved automatically. Muscle memory from drills Junwoo had insisted on months ago. Documents into the shredder. Flash drives destroyed. Cash into bags that Taesung took. By the time we finished, the gallery looked perfectly legitimate, because it was legitimate, mostly. "Where's Junwoo?" I asked. "Handling things. What does that mean?" "It means he's making sure whoever talked doesn't talk anymore." We left through the back exit. Taesung drove me to a hotel, not my apartment, somewhere anonymous. "Stay here, don't call anyone. Don't go anywhere. Wait for instructions." He left me in a room on the 14th floor, generic hotel. Generic room. I sat on the bed and waited. Hours passed. My phone stayed silent. I turned on the news, reports of a major police operation. Multiple arrests, seizure of assets, but no names yet, no details, just ongoing investigation into organized crime activities. Night fell, still nothing. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Just lay in the dark, listening to the city outside, wondering if Junwoo was okay. Wondering if I'd ever see him again. Wondering what happened to people like me when everything collapsed. At 3 a.m., someone knocked on the door. I froze. "It's me," Junwoo's voice. I opened the door. He walked in, looking exhausted. His suit was wrinkled, blood on his collar, not his blood, I realized. "You're okay," I said, "for now." He sat heavily in the chair by the window. I sat on the edge of the bed. "What happened?" I asked. "Someone in my organization made a deal with the prosecutors, gave them names, locations, everything." "Who?" "Doesn't matter anymore, they're handled." Handled, such a gentle word for something so final. "Are you in danger?" I asked. "Always, but they don't have enough to charge me with anything serious. The businesses they raided were insulated, connected to me indirectly through shells and intermediaries. And the gallery? Clean, like we planned. You did well today. What happens now?" He looked at me for a long moment. "We disappear for a while, let things cool down. I have a place outside the city, private, safe. When you say we, I mean you and me, Taesung and 2 others. Everyone else scatters until I call them back." "Why do I need to come?" "Because if they're investigating me, they'll investigate everyone close to me. You're the gallery director. You'll be questioned. I need you somewhere they can't reach you. That looks suspicious. Less suspicious than you accidentally saying something wrong under interrogation." He had a point. "How long?" I asked. "A month. Maybe 2. My mother will be told you're on a business trip, traveling for gallery work. I'll make sure she has everything she needs. You've thought of everything. Always." He stood, walked to the door. "Pack light. We leave in 2 hours. Junwoo," he turned. "Thank you," I said quietly. "For protecting me." Something flickered across his face, too fast to identify. "That's what I do, Minji. I protect what's mine." Then he was gone. I sat there processing. What's mine? I was a possession, a valuable one, a protected one. But a possession nonetheless. And somehow that didn't bother me as much as it should have. The safe house was beautiful. A traditional hanok outside Gangneung, nestled in mountains with a view of the East Sea. Private, isolated, surrounded by forest. We arrived at dawn, exhausted. 4 of us, me, Junwoo, Taesung, and a man named Minyu who barely spoke. The house was spacious. Multiple rooms. Modern amenities hidden behind traditional aesthetics. "You'll stay here," Junwoo said, showing me to a room with tatami mats and paper doors. "Try to relax, we're safe here." "For how long?" "As long as necessary." The first few days were strange, silent, tense. We ate meals together, but didn't talk much. Junwoo spent hours on encrypted calls, managing his empire remotely. I read, walked the grounds, tried not to think about the investigation happening far away, tried not to think about 3 bodies in a warehouse, about how easily Junwoo had pulled the trigger, about how little I'd felt when he did. One evening, I found him on the veranda, looking out at the mountains. "Can't sleep?" I asked. "Sleep is for people without enemies." I sat beside him, legs dangling over the edge. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked quietly. "This life?" No, not even a little, he considered the question. I regret some of the things I've had to do, some of the people I've had to hurt, but the life itself, no. This is who I am. You weren't born like this. Neither were you. That landed hard, because he was right. I wasn't born to be complicit in murders, to manage front businesses, to smile at criminals and call it networking. But I'd become that person, choice by choice. What were you before? I asked. Before all this? Angry, poor, powerless. He glanced at me. My father built the family business. I inherited it, refined it, made it stronger, more efficient. Less violent? No, more controlled. Violence without control is chaos. I don't do chaos. You killed 3 people in front of me. Controlled violence, necessary violence, they were a threat. I eliminated the threat. That's not chaos. That's precision. The way he talked about it, so matter-of-fact, should have horrified me, but I was past horror, past judgment. What happens when this is over? I asked. When the investigation ends, we go back, resume operations. You return to the gallery. And if they don't stop investigating, then we adapt. We always adapt. He stood, brushing off his pants. Get some sleep, Minji. Tomorrow might be easier. But it wasn't. The next day, news broke. Someone had been found dead. The informant who'd cooperated with police. Suicide, officially, but everyone knew better. Junwoo's face when he saw the news was perfectly calm. I realized he'd ordered it. Had made a call from this house, this supposed sanctuary, and someone had died. Did you? I started. Yes. Always yes. Never excuses. I should have been angry, should have felt something. But all I felt was tired. So tired. I need air, I said. I walked into the forest. Didn't run. Didn't cry, just walked. Eventually, I sat on a fallen log and stared at nothing. This was my life now. This was who I'd become. And the worst part, I couldn't even remember exactly when it had happened. When I'd crossed from innocent to complicit. From victim to participant. It had been gradual, a series of small choices, each one seeming reasonable in the moment, each one leading here. To a forest outside Gangneung, hiding from police, complicit in more crimes than I could count. Footsteps behind me. Junwoo. He sat beside me without asking. We didn't speak for a long time. You can leave, he said finally. If you want, I'll give you money, a new identity, send you anywhere in the world. I looked at him, surprised. Why would you do that? Because I don't keep people who don't want to be kept. What about loyalty? Loyalty isn't slavery. If you genuinely want out, I'll let you go. And my mother, taken care of for life. I promised you that. It was a test. I knew it was a test. Say yes, and I'd find out what really happened to people who left. Say no, and I proved my loyalty. But maybe it wasn't a test. Maybe he was just tired too. Tired of pretending, of performing, of being the monster everyone expected. I don't want to leave, I said quietly. Why not? Because, I trailed off. Why didn't I want to leave? Fear, loyalty, Stockholm Syndrome, or something else? Because, I continued slowly, for the first time in my life, I'm not invisible. I matter. Maybe for terrible reasons. Continue 2:22 p.m., continue 2:25 p.m., but I matter. People see me, respect me. I have power even if it's borrowed from you. He was quiet for a moment. That's the most honest thing you've ever said to me. You told me you valued honesty. I said honest eyes get you hurt. I never said I didn't value it. He stood, offered me his hand. I took it. He pulled me up. For a moment, we stood close. Too close. I could see the scar on his jaw clearly. The flecks of amber in his dark eyes, the exhaustion he hid so well from everyone else. We should go back, he said, but he didn't move. Neither did I, Junwoo. Don't. Don't what? Don't make this complicated. It's already complicated. It doesn't have to be. He stepped back, breaking whatever moment we'd been having. You work for me, Minji. That's all this is. That's all it can be. Why? Because people I care about become targets. Liabilities, I can protect employees. I can't protect, he stopped. Can't protect what? It doesn't matter. He walked away. I stood there in the forest, hand still warm from where he'd held it. Something had shifted. Something I didn't have words for yet, but I felt it. And from the way he'd walked away, quickly, without looking back, he'd felt it too. We stayed at the Hanok for 6 weeks. The investigation continued in Seoul, but without enough evidence to charge Junwoo with anything substantial. A few low-level associates were arrested, fined, released. The gallery remained clean. My name never came up. By the end of the 6th week, things had cooled enough to return. We drove back to Seoul in silence. Junwoo had barely spoken to me since the forest conversation. Professional distance restored, but something had changed underneath. Looks that lasted too long. Moments where we'd both reach for something and our hands would brush. The way he'd stand just slightly too close when reviewing gallery documents. Small things, dangerous things. The gallery reopened. Business resumed. I fell back into my role, director, host, facilitator. But now I noticed things I hadn't before. The way Junwoo watched me during events. How his jaw would tighten when other men paid me too much attention. The possessiveness in his voice when he'd introduce me. This is my director, Han Minji. Not the director, my director. 3 months after returning to Seoul, I attended a gala at the Shilla Hotel. Another charity event. Another chance for Seoul's elite to pretend they cared about something other than status. I wore emerald green, a dress Junwoo had sent without explanation, just a note. Wear this tonight. I wore it. It fit perfectly. He arrived late, as always. But when he saw me, he stopped, just for a second. Then his mask slid back into place and he walked over. "You look presentable," he said. Presentable. Such a cold word for the way he'd looked at me. "Thank you," I said, matching his tone. We circulated separately, better optics that way, but I felt his eyes on me all night. Around 11, I stepped outside for air. The hotel terrace was empty, cold, city lights spread below. Running away, I turned. Junwoo stood in the doorway, drink in hand. Just needed a break from smiling. "You're good at it now, the smiling, the small talk. No one would guess where you came from. Is that a compliment? It's an observation." He walked closer, leaning against the railing beside me. "You've been distant," I said quietly. "I've been appropriate. Since when do you care about appropriate?" Since I realized I was starting to forget why appropriate matters. My heart was beating too fast. "And why does it matter?" He looked at me finally. Really looked at me. "Because you work for me. Because mixing business with anything else creates complications, vulnerabilities. You're afraid. I'm careful. It's the same thing." "No, it's not." But his voice had lost some of its certainty. "What are you afraid of?" I pushed. "That I'll care more about you than I should. That it will make me sloppy, get people killed. People are already getting killed. Not because I was distracted by someone's eyes. Not because I made a decision based on emotion instead of strategy. Is that what I am, a distraction? He stopped, set his glass down. "You're something I didn't plan for." The admission hung between us. "Junwoo, this can't happen, Minji." "What can't happen?" "Whatever you're thinking, whatever I'm thinking, it can't." "Why not?" "Because I'm a monster. You said it yourself. And monsters don't get to keep beautiful things. They destroy them. Beautiful things." He'd called me beautiful. "What if I'm not as breakable as you think?" "Everyone's breakable." He pushed off the railing, turning to leave. I grabbed his arm. "Wait." He stopped but didn't turn around. "I know what you are," I said quietly. "I've seen what you do, and I'm still here. That has to mean something. It means you're loyal. It doesn't mean you should." "Should what? Want you?" Finally, he turned. His expression was unlike anything I'd seen before. Not calm, not controlled. Raw. "Yes," he said roughly. "You shouldn't want me." Too late. Something broke in his expression. He moved fast, crowding me against the railing, hands on either side of me, caging me in but not touching. "You don't know what you're saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying. I've killed people, Minji, dozens, maybe more. I've destroyed lives, ruined families. I will do it again without hesitation if someone threatens what's mine. I know. You should be afraid of me. I am afraid of you. I stopped. Also what? Also tired of pretending I don't feel anything when you look at me like that." His jaw clenched. "Like what?" "Like you want to devour me and protect me at the same time." For a long moment, he didn't move. Then his hand came up slowly, giving me time to pull away, and touched my face. Gentle. So gentle it broke something in my chest. "This is a mistake," he whispered. "I know. It will end badly. I know. You'll regret it. Maybe." His thumb brushed my cheekbone. I can't promise you anything good, Minji. I can't promise normal or safe or happy. I can only promise that while you're mine, no one will touch you, no one will hurt you. I'll burn the world down first. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be, it's meant to be honest. Then he kissed me, not gentle anymore. Desperate, possessive. Like he'd been holding back for months and couldn't anymore. I kissed him back with equal desperation. His hands tangled in my hair. Mine gripped his jacket. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. "We can't do this here," he said. "Where then?" "Somewhere private, somewhere I don't have to control myself." "Your place, too public, doorman, security cameras. Mine, too exposed." "Then where?" He pulled back slightly, studying my face. "Do you trust me?" "That's a complicated question. Do you trust me?" I thought about everything. The money, the protection, the murders, the way he'd looked at me in the forest, the way he was looking at me now. "Yes," I said. "Then come with me." He took my hand and led me back inside, through the gala, past curious eyes. We left through a side entrance where Taesung waited with the car. "Drive," Junwoo said. "The Gangnam property." Taesung's eyes flicked to me in the rearview mirror, then back to the road. No questions, we drove, 2 hours through the night. Junwoo's hand never left mine. Neither of us spoke. What was there to say? We'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. Again, but this one felt different, more permanent, more dangerous. The hanok was dark when we arrived. Empty, just us. Inside, Junwoo locked the door, turned to face me. "Last chance," he said. "If you want to leave, Taesung will drive you back right now. No consequences. We'll pretend this didn't happen." "I don't want to pretend. Minji, I don't want to pretend anymore, Junwoo. I don't want to be just your employee. I don't want to stand next to you at galas and act like I don't feel anything. I'm tired of pretending. If we do this, everything changes. It already changed, months ago. We've just been avoiding it." He closed the distance between us. "You need to understand something," he said quietly. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be gentle, considerate. I've spent my entire adult life being a monster. I don't know how to be anything else." "Then don't be anything else, just be honest." "You want honesty?" "Yes. I want you so badly it's become a problem. I think about you constantly. I make decisions based on your safety before my own interests. That's dangerous. That's weakness. But I can't stop." "Then don't stop." He kissed me again, different this time. Slower, deeper, like he had all the time in the world. We didn't make it to the bedroom. Ended up on the floor of the main room, clothes scattered, hands desperate. He was rough but careful, possessive but attentive, like he was memorizing every sound I made, every reaction. After, we lay tangled together on the tatami mats, breathing hard. "This was a mistake," he said, but his arm tightened around me. "You keep saying that, because it's true. Do you regret it?" Silence. Then, "No." I turned in his arms to face him. In the darkness, his features were softer, younger, almost vulnerable. "What happens now?" I asked. "I don't know. You always know. Not this time." He pulled me closer, face buried in my hair. "I should let you go," he whispered. "Send you away, somewhere safe, where my enemies can't use you against me. But you won't. No. I'm too selfish for that." "Good." We fell asleep like that, tangled together. Two damaged people who'd found something in each other they probably didn't deserve, but took it anyway, because people like us didn't get many beautiful things. So when we found one, we held on, even if it destroyed us. Morning came too fast. Sunlight through paper doors, the sound of wind in trees. I woke up alone. Found Junwoo on the veranda, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low, angry tones. When he saw me, he hung up. "Problem?" I asked. "Always." He looked tired. The vulnerability from last night was gone, replaced by the mask he wore for the world. But when I sat beside him, he pulled me close. "I have to go back to Seoul," he said. "Today, there's a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The kind that requires my immediate attention." "Do you want me to come?" "No, stay here, rest. I'll send Minyu to watch the property. You'll be safe. For how long? A few days. Maybe a week." He turned to face me. "Last night," he started. Don't tell me it was a mistake again." I was going to say last night was the best decision I've made in years. even if it was also the most dangerous. That surprised me. What changed? I asked. Nothing changed. I just stopped pretending I had a choice in this. He kissed my forehead. I'll call you tonight. Don't answer any calls from numbers you don't recognize. Don't leave the property. If anything feels wrong, anything, call Minu immediately. You're scaring me. Good, fear keeps you alert. He stood, started gathering his things. At the door, he paused. Minji. Yes, I meant what I said. While you're mine, nothing will hurt you. Then he was gone. I spent the next 3 days alone at the Hanok with Minu standing silent guard outside. Junwoo called every night. Conversations were brief but intense. How are you? Fine. Bored, boredom is safe. What's happening in Seoul? Nothing you need to worry about. Always vague, always protective. On the 4th day, everything changed. I was reading when I heard shouting outside, Minu's voice. Others I didn't recognize, then gunshots. My blood turned to ice. I grabbed my phone, locked myself in the bedroom, called Junwoo. Someone's here, I whispered. Guns, Minu is. Hide now under the bed. Don't make a sound. Junwoo, do it. I crawled under the bed, phone clutched to my chest, heard footsteps in the house, multiple people, voices speaking in low tones, searching. She has to be here. Cars outside. Check every room. My door slid open. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from breathing too loud. Boots, 2 sets, walking around the room. Nothing. Check the next one. They left. I stayed frozen under the bed. Minutes felt like hours, then different sounds. Cars arriving fast, doors slamming, gunfire, lots of gunfire, shouting, then silence. Minji, Junwoo's voice, desperate. Minji, here, I called out, voice shaking. I'm here. The bedroom door slammed open. Junwoo dropped to his knees, looking under the bed. Our eyes met. He pulled me out, hands running over me, checking for injuries. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. What happened? Rivals, they found out about this place. About you. How? His jaw clenched. Someone talked. Again. He pulled me to my feet, started leading me out. The main room was destroyed. Bullet holes in the walls, blood on the floor. Bodies, 4 of them, not Junwoo's men. Outside, Minu sat against a tree, holding his shoulder. Alive but bleeding. Taesung was wrapping the wound. Get him to a hospital, Junwoo ordered. Private clinic, now. He led me to his car. We're leaving permanently. This place isn't safe anymore. Where are we going? Somewhere no one knows about. There's nowhere. There's always somewhere, Minji. I didn't build an empire by being careless. He drove fast. Didn't tell me where, just drove. Eventually, we reached Seoul, but we didn't go to my apartment or his. We went to a building I didn't recognize, residential, expensive, top floor, penthouse. Inside was beautiful, modern, minimalist. What is this place? I asked. Mine. Purchased under a shell corporation. No one knows about it, not even my closest people. Why? Because I always plan for the worst. He locked the door behind us. Multiple locks. Security system activated. Then he turned to me and pulled me into his arms, held me so tight I could barely breathe. I thought I lost you, he said roughly. I thought I was too late. You weren't. This time. But next time, there won't be a next time. There's always a next time in this world. He pulled back, hands cupping my face. I need to end this, the rivalry, the threat. I need to make sure no one ever tries to hurt you again. How? His expression went cold. The way I always handle threats, permanently. Over the next 2 weeks, Seoul's underworld erupted in violence. I didn't see most of it. Junwoo kept me locked in the penthouse, protected but isolated. But I heard about it. News reports of gang violence. Fires, bodies found in the Han River. The police called it a turf war. I knew better. It was Junwoo eliminating threats. Systematically. Brutally. When he came home at night, there was blood on his clothes. Exhaustion in his eyes. He never told me details, just held me and said, "It's almost over." Finally, 3 weeks after the attack at the Hanok, the violence stopped. Junwoo came home early one evening. Clean, calm. "It's done," he said. "Done. The rival organization has been neutralized, leadership eliminated, territory absorbed, the threat to you is gone." How many people died? He hesitated. How many? I pressed. Enough. I sat down heavily, all those deaths. Because of me, Not because of you, Junwoo said, reading my expression. Because they thought they could take what was mine. They were wrong. He knelt in front of me. This is what I am, Minji. This is what being with me means: violence, death, constant danger. If you can't accept that, if you can't live with that, tell me now. I looked at him. This man who'd killed for me, destroyed an entire criminal organization to keep me safe. This monster who held me gently at night. I accept it, I said. Are you sure? Yes. He kissed me, soft, almost reverent. Then we move forward together. What does that mean? It means you're not just my employee anymore. You're not just someone I'm protecting. You're mine. Actually mine. And everyone needs to know it. Everyone? Yes. The next week, Junwoo did something unprecedented. He threw a party, invited everyone important in Seoul's underworld and legitimate business circles. The gallery was chosen as the venue. On the night of the party, the gallery glittered. Champagne, catered food, string quartet, over 200 guests. I stood near the back, wearing a black dress he'd had custom made. Simple but stunning, waiting. At 9 p.m. exactly, Junwoo stepped onto the small stage we'd set up. The room fell silent immediately. Thank you all for coming, he began, voice calm, commanding. I've asked you here tonight because I have an announcement. Curious looks, whispers. His eyes found mine across the room. For those who don't know, this is Han Minji. She's the director of this gallery. She's also, he paused, my wife. The room erupted. Shock, confusion, people looking between us. I stood frozen. Wife. We weren't married, hadn't even discussed it, but I understood immediately what he was doing, claiming me publicly, making me untouchable. In his world, my wife meant more than any legal document. It meant anyone who touched me died. He stepped down from the stage, walked through the crowd directly to me, took my hand. Play along, he whispered. Then louder to the room, we've kept this private until now. But I wanted everyone to know, to understand. She's under my protection. Permanently? He raised my hand, kissed it. The gesture was old-fashioned, possessive, unmistakable. This woman is mine. The party continued, but everything had shifted. People congratulated us, bowed respectfully. The women looked at me with envy and fear. The men looked at Junwoo with understanding. He just declared war on anyone who even thought about threatening me. Later that night, alone in his penthouse, I turned to him. Wife, it was the clearest way to send a message. You could have discussed it with me first. Would you have said no? I thought about it. No, I admitted. Then why waste time discussing it? He pulled me close. In every way that matters, you're mine. The label just makes it official. What if I want to actually be your wife, legally? He pulled back, studying my face. Do you? I don't know, maybe. Eventually. Then eventually we'll discuss it. For now, this is enough. Is it? Yes. He kissed me quiet, and I let him, because he was right. In his world, the declaration was enough. I was protected now. Claimed. The woman who'd been invisible just 2 years ago was now the most visible target in Seoul's underworld. But also the most protected. No one would touch me without signing their own death warrant. It should have felt like a cage. Instead, it felt like power. Time passed. Months blurred into a year. The gallery thrived. My reputation grew. I became known as Kang Junwoo's wife, even though no legal ceremony ever happened. We settled into a strange kind of domestic life. He worked. I worked. We attended events together, hosted dinners, played our roles. At night in the privacy of his penthouse, we were something else. Not quite normal, never that, but ours. My mother's health remained stable. She was happy I'd found someone. Never needed to know the truth about how or why. Sometimes, late at night, I'd think about the girl I used to be. The one who scrubbed floors, who was invisible, who believed in things like justice and fairness. That girl was gone. In her place was someone harder. Someone who could smile at criminals and call it networking. Who could attend events where illegal deals happened and never flinch. Someone complicit, but also someone powerful. Someone seen, someone who mattered. I'd traded my innocence for relevance, my freedom for security, my morality for survival, and I'd do it again. That was the truth I'd learned. Given the same choices, I'd make every one again, not because I was evil, but because I was human, and humans survive however they can. One evening, almost 2 years after the gala where we'd met, Junwoo and I stood on the penthouse balcony, watching Seoul glitter below. "Do you regret it?" he asked quietly. "Any of it?" I thought carefully before answering. "I regret the people who died, the pain caused. But do I regret choosing you, choosing this life? No. Why not? Because I'm not invisible anymore, because I matter, because," I paused, "because I love you. And that's worth more than innocence." It was the first time I'd said it out loud. He went very still. "You love me," he repeated, not a question. "Yes. Even though I'm a monster, yes, even though maybe because I don't know anymore, I just know I do." He turned to face me. His expression was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Vulnerable, raw, almost broken. "I don't deserve you," he said quietly. "Probably not. But I'm keeping you anyway." "I know," he pulled me close. "I love you too," he whispered against my hair. "I've never said that to anyone. Never felt it, but I feel it with you, and it terrifies me." "Why?" "Because love is vulnerability, and vulnerability gets people killed. Not if you're strong enough to protect it. What if I'm not?" "You are. You've proven that." We stood there holding each other as the city sparkled below. Two people who'd found each other in darkness, who'd built something beautiful out of terrible choices, who'd learned that love doesn't always look like the fairy tale's promise. Sometimes it looks like protection, like possession, like choosing someone even when you know the cost. "Where do we go from here?" I asked. "Forward," he said simply. "Together. Until the end. And if the end is violent, then at least we won't be alone." It wasn't romantic, wasn't reassuring, but it was honest, and honesty was all we'd ever promised each other. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the charity gala, about kneeling on marble floors, invisible, about the moment Junwoo had asked me to sit, had seen me when no one else did. Everything had spiraled from that moment. Every choice, every consequence, but I wouldn't unmake it, couldn't unmake it. This was my life now, beautiful and terrible in equal measure. I'd sold my soul, maybe, but in return I'd gained everything I never knew I wanted. Power, protection, purpose, love in its own twisted way, and I'd learned something important. The world isn't divided into good people and bad people. It's divided into people who survive and people who don't. I survived. By becoming something I never imagined. Someone who could love a monster. Someone who was, perhaps, a monster herself. But a monster who was seen, who mattered, who belonged. And in the end, isn't that what we all want? To belong somewhere, to someone. Even if that somewhere is darkness. Even if that someone has blood on their hands, we take what we can get. And we call it love. Because sometimes, love is the only name we have for the things that save us and destroy us in equal measure.